Mr. Speaker, I hope and I pray, because you know I intend to vie for the seat of governor of Nairobi, that God willing, inshallah, if I become governor of Nairobi, we will have an annual Nairobi Arts and Cultural Festival that is going to be a global event. Mr. Speaker, at this festival, thank you very much, Senator Musuruve. Thank you very, I think there was a poll that came out today that was positive. But at this, in this festival, Mr. Speaker, it's very important, because for you to deal with a city, you must first start with the software of the city before the hardware. The reason why you have people flocking to New York is because they've dealt with the software. I love New York. They call it the Big Apple. The reason why people go to California is because, in LA, there's a vibe that you've created around it, that this is a place of film, this is a place of art, this is a place where if it's San Francisco, it is known for, if you have an idea and you come to San Francisco, the Silicon Valley, you'll get funders, etc. What are we saying is the vibe of Nairobi, Mr. Speaker? We must be able to define it, that Nairobi one is a land of opportunities and possibilities for every African, the capital of Africa. And Mr. Speaker, once we've stated that, and it will sound haughty, it will sound very ambitious, but I will say, look, Nairobi is going to be the capital of Africa, the land of possibilities, beyond just the green city under the sun. And then we now sell the culture of this city. That I love Nairobi. I am Nairobi. You first give people the ownership. Now the culture is this. Culture is not just static. Culture actually is very dynamic. It is always dynamic. It is always in process. It is always in flux. It is always acting on human society while also being a product of that human society. There are people who come to Nairobi, and I remember when there was a ban, there was this ban on matatu graffiti. I went to see my friend in Isili, Section 3. His name is Moha. He does what you call Moha graphics. And he's a guy I've known since I was a young person, when I'd walk across from Gara to Karioko and to Isili. And there was a group from South Africa, on that same day that it was banned, a group came from South Africa just to see how this matatu culture is done. How they do the graffiti, how they put the music, and how it is creating employment. That is part of urban culture, Mr. Speaker. Culture is not something stuck at a certain historical point, but now let us all now wear traditional clothes and remember that culture. The elements of the dynamic nature of culture and the traditional culture. So let us not confuse culture with traditions. Traditions are very important. And in this annual Nairobi Cultural and Arts Festival, we'll be asking the Kambas to bring the Mudokoi to town. We'll be asking the Kikuyus to bring their Irio and their Ndumas and Ngwashes. The Luyas to bring their Ingoho. The Luos to bring their fish. And we will experience the food from across the country and international. We will go and lock up the city for 3 days. There's going to be food. There's going to be music from across the country. Yeah? The jazz, that is urban culture, with the Ohangla, Mr. Speaker. The Isukuti with the hip-hop, Mr. Speaker. Because Nairobi is a melting point of all these cultures that we have. Yeah? Bring them together and have that music festival in Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, that is culture. That we're going to have art. We have beautiful art. Mr. Speaker, the people who come from across the world to look at our art, yet here we're buying fake art. We're not appreciating our artists. To come and see what is this art that, the Maasai used to do. Mr. Speaker, do you know even within the tombs of the pharaohs, we have found as part of the hieroglyphics, the Maasai warriors have been captured there. We don't have it here, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was in London Museum last week, the British Museum. And in the British Museum, Mr. Speaker, you find a lot of curated art from Africa, including from Kenya. How comes we don't have it here? In fact, the first thing the British need to do is to first repatriate, to bring back people's... there was all this art from Egypt, from West Africa, the bronze of Benin, the Kingdom of Benin. I'm glad I was able to once meet the Esama of Benin, who gave me some bronze sculptures from there. But those things belong to us, so that we can come experience each other's art. And the more we know each other, because tribalism is a direct result of ignorance, Mr. Speaker. The people are told, oh, this community, they eat people. Others are told, oh, this community are thieves. This community, they are dirty, etc. I see my time is running out. I have so much to say. So there's going to be our art. There's going to be our photography. that is on display every year. Mr. Speaker, in 5 years, we're going to make the Nairobi Festival a global event that is enhancing culture. So this